Hello everyone, it's Tuesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Tokwe Mark Odige, and as usual, I have the co-host with me, YK in the building.
Yo.
We need to relish every moment we have with you, YK. We have missed you so much that I love having you around.
Thank you. I'm glad to be around. Well, I've said that if I tell you, complain about waking up at 4, just slap me.
Because when you went, you were still waking
up at 5 every day. Say this one, I will do 2-3 times a week at most. There, every day.
Every minute.
And when I wake up like this, say this one, I can even just go to the office, do small work, go home. This one.
Full-time duty.
I know sleeping.
But it was beautiful.
If you just, sometimes I would have put my grandson to sleep and then he will only sleep for like 10 minutes. Then I would say, let me
try and take a nap.
He just wake up. Who was? Give me a hot slap.
Are you sleeping?
How dare you sleep on duty?
Are you sleeping on duty?
But you had fun. So then let me just...
How about you been enjoying the weekend? So you've been back over a week now. What have you been doing?
I actually went to a show at Freedom Park and I was pleasantly surprised.
Okay.
It was Dele Taiwo.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
From back in the days.
From back in the days, very agile young man, dancing, doing routines with. It was lovely. It was a lovely. I was
live
so
band.
Impressed. Live band.
That's if you're a live band lover, you'd love Freedom Park.
You should be
I don't
a
know.
live band lover if you're a music lover. That's the real music, if you ask me. Yes, that's the real music.
It's not track 1, track 2.
It's not track.
Let's hear the voice, really. Mariam, how you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
So I know what you did yesterday, but tell us.
No, I have to tell you what I did yesterday. So yesterday I spent the whole morning till afternoon at Macho Mind with the kids. I wanted to see exactly what it is that they do. Because for me, when I send my children during summer, we tend to do sports.
Mariam is an intentional parent.
Yes. Oh, okay. So we do sporting activities during the holidays. But this time we decided to go with Macho Mind. And I'm so pleasantly surprised, if I should borrow it from Tiani, pleasantly surprised by what he's doing with the children. So what he's done is found activities to do with the children while mentally working their brains. They are playing, So they're learning also focus, they're learning concentration, they're learning confidence. There was something he said to me, he said, I want to teach these children to compete with themselves, not with each other. That was so powerful for me. I said, I'm in the right place. And then they are playing, they're jumping, and while they're playing and jumping, they're picking up the mathematical things that they have learned. So your child comes out a mathematical genius, and better for it, character is built.
Honestly,
so I'm really happy about this.
My kind of lesson when I was a kid.
Yeah.
My son came and
I
said,
don't know
Mommy,
nothing about maths.
Thank you. Thank you. This is the best summer holiday. Summer class ever. Thank you. And got home, picked out what he wanted to wear today. As in, that's interesting. But how are you doing?
They really had fun. Okay, yesterday I was a bit dull. Because I had this shoulder pain.
Oh, how was the massage?
From our workout.
The massage was good. So after the show, I had to ask Tokwe, is there anywhere they do massage around? So she took me to a spa just by the corner, and they had to work on my body. They used a particular lighting, red lights, to focus on the area that I was feeling intense pains, and it helped. So I was able to sleep well. I wish I had money. I would have just gone for another one today.
I need to go there.
Very nice.
From head to toe.
You need it.
They need red lights. My body needs red lights.
You need to be put in the red tube.
I'm telling you.
I don't have any banter.
I have you. I have for you.
You love my hair.
It's not that I love your hair, but it suits you. The wigs that you wear, you have the African nose, the African lips, the African...
I will go in there.
Let me finish now. And then you now wear the wig that is supposed to be on your head. Then you look... I don't want to use that word.
When we return, we will take the stuff stories.
You look very nice.
Thank
Please
you.
maintain it.
Thank you, YK. I'm carrying my hair throughout this month, so that should make you happy. Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. Well, we're taking the top stories in the newspaper. We're starting off with The Nation. Major headline, activists defiant as police smash protests in cities. 20 protesters held in Lagos, Osun, Cross River, AAC members arrested. Nigerians have shown preference for democracy, says the presidency. And in other news, we have EFCC raid ex-Zamfara Governor Yari's home. El-Zakzaki's wife freed on health grounds. Ruling on petition against Buhari reserved. 19 die, 30 injured in Cairo accident. So what story are we taking? Oh, there's another story. Last story we'll be taking. House sheltering criminals will be demolished, says Ogun governor.
So I'm taking the Ogun State Governor, Dakwa Abiodun, is saying that in their because of the widespread banditry and kidnappings and killings in the southwest, one of the things that they are doing is to make sure that houses that accommodate these criminals and they use them as hideouts would not only be seized by the state, but they will be demolished. And the landlords of those houses will be prosecuted as accomplices. So for me, I think
should know what is going on in their houses.
They should know what's going on, and it's perfect because sometimes we say you must know these people, they live in your neighborhood, but then we have this attitude that I'm not going to say anything. But I guess if landlords know that this would affect their investment monetarily, they would speak up and say, well,
there's good and bad side to that though, because
right.
before we got married, somebody thought my husband was into yahoo because he felt like he was just sitting there at home all day and then he would come out in the evening. But he's an IT person, so he works on a system. So the imagination is anybody that works with a system so that you can be branded wrongly for your business. So the police, before they do the demolition, they must have more thorough investigation.
Yeah, of course.
So as to be sure.
Yes, to report is not.
To me, demolishing property is not the way. It's not the way to go because, as far as I'm concerned, there are many homeless people. Make it a home for homeless. Why demolishing property that costs money, to buy?
Just take it away from them. It's a stigma deterrent.
And you have to be sure that they knew.
So, BC wants to take the story. Man kills friend over betting.
Yeah. So this particular guy, his name is Yusuf Isiaka, was stabbed to death by his friend Shegun Banji over ram betting. They put a 500 naira bet for their rams to fight. So the ram that won, the person who owns the ram will pay. The one that loses, the person who owns the ram will pay 500 naira. So after the fight, one of the rams lost. And then the person who was supposed to pay the 500 naira refused to drop the money. So they got into a fight and he broke a bottle and stabbed this Yusuf guy. I'm glad that the police have picked them up. Investigations are ongoing. But like you mentioned, yes, stabbed him and he died. So like you mentioned, we need to start teaching people anger management. We really need to, even in schools.
Yeah. And Nima said it, posted it. I was laughing that she posted a picture a few days back, that it is not Islamic to have your rams that you want to kill fight each other. It's a waste of your sacrifice. But we need to say it over and over again. I thought it was like common sense, but see what we're doing.
I priced ram the other day. Me that I thought ram was 6,000. 80K.
Of course.
Moving on to the Punch. Now. Major headline: Herdsmen menace banditry. Lagos, Benue, Ebonyi, 5 others to acquire drones. Drone suppliers are in money now. Ogun, Oyo, Enugu planning to file applications. I'm now selling drones. Moving on, you can't miss the picture. Revolution now. Police clamp down, disrupt Lagos, Abuja, other protest. Amosu left 18 billion naira for Abiodun, says ex-commissioner. Guest flees Imo Hotel, female lover found dead. Enugu monarch, wives abductors demand 50 million ransom. So Enugu monarch wives abductors demand 50 million ransom. All prices fall below $60 budget benchmark. Buhari addresses APC National Working Committee on Wednesday. Medical trip. DSS pledges to release El-Zakzaki wife. So the nation said they've been released.
No, they haven't been released. They have said that they will release them. But they are waiting in case the prosecutor will
change his mind?
Will appeal. The prosecutor, the court has said release them. DSS says they will release them. But let us wait and see. Wait and see.
Situation.
Situation.
So major headline.
Yes,
the major headline. So I was going to go with the major headline.
Okay. So that the drones.
Yes.
Madam,
I'm selling drones.
Anyways, so because I mean, is widespread, the fight against banditry and killings again, and states are coming together to talk about how to fight this and combat this, and they're looking to drones. But there's been a sort of hiccup for state governments to get these drones because there are actually some regulations that the federal government has put, so a state government cannot just easily get that. And so they are sitting down and trying to see how they can do that with the federal government approval. Some states may already have those drones, like Lagos, Osun, Ondo, Anambra, and Kaduna states, but then other states who are looking into...
Enugu.
Yes, they are Benue and Enugu. But interestingly, Zamfara says they do not need these drones at the moment, and we know Zamfara is in the news a lot for a lot of killings that have been happening. But they say that because of the peace accord between the bandits and the state government, they have some sum of peace.
To go and read what that peace accord included, because the things they were negotiating for was that they were going to empower the bandits and they were going to dissolve the JTF for certain the conditions. It makes it look like if you become a bandit and you become a very strong one, you will be able to negotiate with the government and get what you want.
My advice for Zamfara state government is that you can have your peace accord, but you should also have your drones, because it's just technology.
Human interest story, YK.
Yeah, the man and woman went into the hotel, Royal Ibis Hotel in Owerri, and the cleaners were cleaning the room and found the woman dead under the bed. No names, because they checked into maybe it was those short,
Mr. and Mrs. Smith
short visits. So the police are looking for the man. They said they have information. I don't know how, because the man took her phone, her handbag, everything. He disappeared, and her dead body. No, they are believing that maybe she was strangled. Oh. And it could have been just a heart attack and the guy panicked and went.
Yeah, because I just think girls should be very careful with all this hotel visiting. Because, yes,
girls should just not. They don't just cheat.
Don't visit. No, it might not be cheating. Did they say they were married? They are not married. They don't
know anything about that.
The only thing we just know is that
it happens. So just be careful.
One is under the bed.
One is under the bed dead. And the other one has disappeared.
So sad. Moving on to the Vanguard. Major headline. Revolution now. Angry youths confront security men. Protest in 4 states, FCT. Police brutalize 70-year-old woman. And exercise turns violent in Osun. In other news, Ogo to demolish houses used by kidnappers. We've taken that story. The revolution will not be televised, and you can't miss the picture showing injury, people sitting down, people being dragged by the police, and more.
The revolution? Yeah, so the protest has been going on in different states. They had in Lagos, they had in Abuja, but there are some states some states in the east.
We'll be taking it as an update during it's part of our show today, so we'll even talk more. We have somebody that was involved in it. Moving on to Daily Sun. Tension as DSS police foil revolution march. El Zakzaki wife gets bail on health ground. Court gives EFCC nod to freeze Bauchi accounts. EFCC raid ex-governor Yari's home in Zamfara. Tribunal reserves judgment on HDP petition against Buhari. Insecurity, Enugu to recruit 1,700 forest guards. Sends anti-kidnapping bill to State Assembly.
I have that. I have the Enugu state. So obviously our state governors are taking this security issue seriously. So I mean, they're having conversations, they're having proper plans towards safeguarding their states. So Enugu State is also having a meeting with the group of vigilantes, and they're trying to see how they can overhaul them, and then also send a bill of a security bill, I think the anti-kidnapping bill to the State Assembly. So they're trying to make sure they're doing it on the policy side as well as taking concrete steps also with the vigilantes. So kudos to our governors. They are
trying.
Paying attention.
Abdulaziz, quickly?
Quickly.
Yeah, so the EFCC stormed the former governor of Zamfara State, Abdulaziz, on Sunday for a search. So according to his spokesman, who said that they were ready to receive them, and they searched the house for about 5 hours. They ransacked all the rooms. They made away with about 2 bags. They don't know what is inside the bag. And the EFCC, on the EFCC side, they said that they are having like an investigation going on. So any time you see them coming to search you, that means it has to is related to a crime
economic and financial crimes. Yeah.
Did they have a warrant?
That's all we
crime.
yeah.
They didn't say
Obviously,
Yeah, obviously.
because the spokesperson was like, they have the right to do it anyway, so they should go
So that's all
ahead.
we can take on the Hot Topic session for today. Next, we discuss our lineup of topics. It's packed. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. Recently, Prophet S.K. Abiara sent a letter to the president advising him on governance issue. According to him, the president's elected leaders are God's elect. So we are asking, what are the roles of religious leaders in political matters, taking into consideration that most of these politicians go for Thanksgiving, they revere them. Do our leaders actually listen to these men of God? Please call us and give us your view on 07080668014, or you can tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. So we've seen many people writing letters. We've had letters from the traditional rulers. We've had letters from our previous, our former presidents, Baba Yabo. We've had letter from everybody is talking that there are challenges within our country that we must face. But this letter from a religious leader is making us ask the question, what is the role of our religious leaders in politics? And we cannot forget the Father Mbaka, and how his statement was causing crisis all around. So what do you think? And I'll start with Mariam, because Mariam has read and is reading this letter.
Yeah, so
based on your perspective, what is that letter contain? What does the letter contain, and how should we respond to letters when we hear them from religious leaders?
First, tell us what the letter contains.
Yeah, so just briefly, it's just saying that it is important for leaders to know that they have been ordained by God to be in this position. It says people that elected you are not only your family members. These are from across, the country. And so there are a lot of things. He mentioned health, education, the things he wants for them to quickly put, their eyes on. Yes, he says our roads, our education, our health and power sectors must receive urgent attention to make life easier for all Nigerians. And then, it's a very powerful, and then he goes ahead, of course, being a Christian leader, drops Ecclesiastes 9:10, Daniel 4:33-34, and Acts 12. It's just really calling them to be responsible for the role that they have been chosen by God to take. And when you get there, if you do it well, God will bless you. It just reminds me of the story of Saul and David. So Saul, I mean, if you're a Christian, you know the story. Saul was picked out, and one of the ways he was even described, they talked about his height, how he stood a head and shoulder above a lot of people. But while he became king, he displeased God, and he was taken away. And then we have someone like David who did what God expected of him, and he had a legacy from generation to generation. So I think he's just calling on to leaders to say, it's not just about making money right now. Leave a legacy, leave something that forever and ever people will, mention your name for good and say, this is what you did right by your people.
That is the problem that I have with Nigerian leaders, African leaders, not just Nigerian leaders, is that leaving a legacy. If you leave a legacy, if you steal all the money, but you leave a very powerful legacy, nobody is going to believe that remember that you stole money. Because what you did, but our own leaders, it's only their pockets that they know. The legacy that they want to leave is for their family, who will squander the money. Once they go, the family squanders the money. They do not leave, because if you are a leader, if you do the roads, or let's just even say healthcare, you take care of only healthcare forever and ever. The prayers that you will be collecting, your family for generations will collect.
Exactly.
So true.
So, taking it in another angle, I've always questioned the fact that, and Mariah is not here today to caution me, so I'm going to go there. I see the way people revere RCCGGO, that's Adeboye, and I know that he's influential because they revere him. They come to meet him. They ask him to pray with them before power. He doesn't endorse anybody, but he has their ears. And I always wonder, is it that he's not telling them the truth of the situation on ground? Or why are we not using the clout and influence why are they not using the clout and influence they have as religious leaders to cause change? Martin Luther King was a religious person, and yet we can't forget his name because he did not just sit down and say, okay, well, I'm a pastor in my church, but went on the streets to protest. What would you want your pastor to do to address the situation on ground? What would you expect our leaders, and I would like people to call in and tweet in, what would you expect the leaders, these great pastors, these great imams, these great men of God, what would you expect them to do to address the issues on ground?
So in talking about the responsibility of spiritual leaders, I don't want to use the word religion because that has been abused. I like to go back to history. I remember that back in the days where we had these herbalists, more like a spiritual guide in a village that has the king's ear. And the Dibias. Chineke goes, give me 5 there. Yes. They have the king's ear. And so they are like the seers. They see what is to happen before it happens, and then they can guide the king. Okay, you have to fight war with this nation. You have to fight war with this community. Don't fight with these people. Make sure your people have this and all of that. The kings revered them and listened to them. That is the same role that prophets of old, looking at the scriptures, have always been to the kings. They always have one advice or the other that they give to the kings that help them to manage their people well. And that is the role that I expected our religious and spiritual leaders right now to take up, where they have the president's ear, they have the governor's ear. They can say, no, our people need this and our people need that. Let's not have this and let's not have that. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, it could be political, it could be because now everybody needs money. Everybody's hungry, everybody needs to blow. Instead of them to take up that responsibility to, talk and preach and teach on how we can guide and make sure that we prosper as a nation, you just collect your tithes and and you shock it in. And then, no, I'm talking, I'm from a Christian family and I'm from a church family. This one, we're running it. So I understand what I'm saying from that angle. And everybody just wants to protect themselves. But I think that if we can come out as religious leaders, because you have a responsibility to the people. The church listens to you. Your congregation listens to you. During elections, you hear them say, vote for this and vote for that. And you see their members. They actually listen to them. So those people, those leaders who come to your church, who come to thank God because I've won this and won that, why don't you bring them in and teach them and tell them the truth?
I'll take Waike up on traditional rulers after we take this call. Somebody has called in from Abule Egba. Welcome to the show. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Fine, thank you. Thanks for calling.
I greet you, Auntie Yenny. Good morning, ma.
Good morning. Thank you.
You see, that legacy you just mentioned about the problem we are having in this country. You said everything whole. Honestly. You see, let me, I don't know how it's going to sound, but let's just start from the politician. Let me just say from the question we are having. See now, the only person I can say that he's performed really is Babangida. But that Babangida, because he did not, like you said now, that even if they back the old money, but maybe they just leave that legacy. But the only thing that Babangida takes spoiler is just one thing, it's just that June 12th. So I think you are making a very strong point there. Or that legacy you just mentioned. But for the pastor, you are talking about, I just know something about all the pastors. All of them, God forgive everybody. They are all idol worshippers. Yes, of course. What I mean by idol? What I mean by idol is this. Let me analyze it quickly because of time. I didn't mean that they are worship Egun or Ifa.
They are worshiping money and power.
Money is idol. Money is idol. So that's what I mean.
Thank you, Fafiolu. I like your contribution. Fantastic.
Okay. So I just wanted to say something. Auntie Yenny Waike had said that if you can leave a legacy, even if you do one thing. For me, I don't believe that legacy can be built on the foundation of theft. So, I mean, you can pick one thing, do it well, but if you're a thief, they
say that we should swear. Maybe because the traditional gods then could kill you on the spot. Anyway. As opposed to what we have where there's forgiveness and there's grace.
Okay, so what I'm just trying to say is that...
As all of you here, sorry, Mabin. All of you here, as Christian and Kenny, Islamic, I don't know, okay, Nima is not here, but as Christian as you all are, if I bring one thing and say, I've brought Shango to you, you know you will fly out of here.
Immediately.
And you will be crazy. Jesus says you are flying, but you will still fly. And that is how every single Nigerian
behaves when
African, they believe, even though they say they don't agree with traditional religion, they still believe inside their hearts that if you bring that thing to them. So just take that thing to House of Assembly. Take it to National Assembly. Say National Assembly. Take it as they are swearing, as when you want to swear president.
Just
don't put that thing there.
Just touch it as you go in.
Let me tell you, they won't steal again.
On that note, we round off this discussion.
God,
when we return, we take the updates on Revolution Now. You can chip in what you want to say, but we'll take the update on Revolution Now. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. Before we start this new conversation, I wanted to just wrap up the last one in that we asked the question, what is expected from our religious leaders? And I think that the quorum here is speak out, speak up. Some politicians will not listen to you. They might not do what you're advising them to do, but you must not be seen to be permitting injustice and profiteering from what is hurting the country. Yesterday, we had a conversation on Revolution Now. And today, we have Global Amnesty researcher Terence Kwanum on the show to give us updates on what happened, his perspective. Welcome to the show, Mr.
Thank you so much.
Terence.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So before we started, we asked, what exactly are you doing? Like, somebody is saying they are protesting against the injustice in the environment. They're protesting against the fact that salaries are not being paid. The minimum wage is not improved, has not been upgraded all over. Health sector is bad. Roads are bad. And you are saying that that is not the way it should be.
Yeah, exactly, because we are a sovereign nation with laws. And the issues they are addressing are actually what is bothering the nation, and it's eating it so deep. But now, if we want to address our issues within the nations, we should know that we have laws. We're sovereign nations. And then there's also a difference between a call to a peaceful protest and an incitement to a revolution. Now, there are two different things here. Now, the person that was galvanizing for this protest made videos that told us that on the 5th of August, there's going to be an end to DSS. This is an institution that protects us and our democracy. They are heavily armed. How are they going to cease to be in existence on your time? He told us there will cease to be a democratically elected government in this country. It is protected by the law. How are you going to do this? Now, this person is taken into detention.
Are you quoting him word for word?
Yes, I saw the video. No, I'm not rephrasing. I saw the video. I saw the video. Now he's taken into detention. And instead of us addressing our sovereignty, we are guided by the laws. We should be protected by the law. The law protects us, and we return the favor to the law. Now, this man is taking it, instead of us addressing the core issues, what we are doing in Nigeria is that we are rather blackmailing ourselves with the issues affecting us that have been addressed in different forums by different civil society. Even the people fighting for these causes have even joined into the blame that, yes, 30,000 minimum wage, issues of insecurity. These insecurity issues have been issues that we've been addressing for the last 2 years. People have even gone into detention. These same people that want to do the revolution now, in 2018, when there was insecurity, we were crying out loud. They were busy campaigning for elections. They didn't even address these issues. We went through it. People lost lives. Till now in my state where I come from, in Benue State, since January of 2018, 400,000 people are in IDP camps. Where were they? Is it now that you went to lose election that you come? And this is why we keep saying that. So it is very dangerous. It is very dangerous for activists to go into politics. Because eventually when they lose, the the kind of hatred they bring from the political arena to join it with activism.
Are you sure it is political or it is frustration of the issues all of us are facing?
No, all of us are facing it. This thing has eaten deep into us. We have addressed it in different ways. Even at a point, TVC was even blackmailed. They were even taking side with Benue because of what they were facing. This was serious insecurity. People were being killed into this country. Shallow graves were dug and they were pushed into in the night. These issues were not addressed. These people were on the street campaigning to lead this country. And they feel that the people that were crying foul for this crime were going extreme against the system.
Do you think that they were campaigning to lead the country because of the various insecurities, because of the various injustices? Do you think that is why they wanted to be president?
If I want to lead a country and there are issues bothering the country, I should be addressing them and identifying.
Did they address them in their...
They didn't identify.
Are you sure they didn't address them in their...
No, calm down. Calm down. The time these things were happening, you know, even the federal government was on us in Benue. You know, even what the governor was going through. Even to come and campaign in that territory, they didn't come. We went on the streets, we didn't see them. In the entire Middle Belt. You understand? The concern is, these issues being highlighted, that the NLC fought the issue of 30,000 till they got it. And they are on it that it should be implemented. So on and on, these issues have been addressed in different fora. Now, if you want to call us together as a nation, to go out and protest for these things affecting us, fine and good. But don't go calling for a revolution and threatening institutions that protect us. It's not correct.
So isn't that how a revolution, isn't that what a revolution is? I mean, we've heard things of we've heard of Arab Spring. It's not supposed to be a convenient, it's not supposed to be a convenient exercise where we go and get, you know, what do you call it, police reports and ask for the time to come out and protest. Protest is different from revolution, the way that I understand it. And a lot of people would say, well, it has led to changes in some countries, and some people will say, well, it just led to even more war. So for what he came to do, it is a revolution that he came out to do, and he did it the way that it is done, is what I want us to understand now, because I do not think that you do a revolution and go and get a court permit to do that.
No, we are not even talking of court permit. At the moment, there are protests going on. I left Abuja yesterday. By the time I left Abuja, there was a group that had been protesting for over 4 days at Amnesty office. They didn't take any permit. They are addressing their issues they have with Amnesty International. Even so, Sowore himself have protested in this country. They did a 1-week protest in 2017 or so. In Lagos here, nobody stopped them. Well, I'm saying that there's a difference between a peaceful protest and an incitement to revolution.
Yes.
Now, an institution like the DSS, you gave it a deadline when it will cease to exist. It's not correct. You give a government a deadline that on this day,
so we are now saying
now you're inciting people
there was a messianic that took place.
You're inciting people to come out and do this, that these institutions will not be existing by the time
what I'm even trying
so they should not be afraid of an arrest.
So what I'm exactly, so that's what I'm reading. If you come out for a revolution, then
you are ready for the arrest.
You are ready for the consequences of coming out, is what I'm saying.
So if you are playing the script, Bisi, you have a question?
Yes. I wanted to say that, don't you think if he had been advised to present his matter properly, because I read through what he stated, what we are fighting is what everybody has been fighting, the insecurity issues and all of that, well outlined. He had about how many agenda, and I read them. And if he had presented it well, that this is what we are fighting, let the people know this is a protest, it's going to be a peaceful protest, and we're going to ensure that they have our ear and listen to us, we would have had a better result than what we're having now. Because the truth is, his words were inciting, and the government has done what it's supposed to do. Now we are feeling pity, because we know that somehow, he doesn't really mean it. He doesn't have the means to cause a revolution. If he had presented that matter properly, would it have made more sense?
Yeah, when you say he doesn't have the means to do it, it means
we think.
Yeah, it's not even correct, because this is somebody that has run an online media for a while.
So what would you believe? Sorry, because we are going out of time.
The online media is based in New York. If you follow the editorial content of the online media over time, you will notice that the editorial has always been an affront of the Nigerian government. Now, the sustenance of it has always been credited to a foreign NGO being sponsored. Now, the man has come to, you know, the financial implication of calling for this kind of thing. Then this is somebody that has just come out of a presidential campaign. You know the cost of presidential campaigns in Nigeria, and XYZ. So you don't expect somebody that has not.
We're going to have to cut.
Sorry, are you trying to say that his protest is being financed?
That's if you are calling for that magnitude of protest, it is going to be financially involved.
Sadly,
a lot of money.
Honestly, sadly, we need to go because I wanted to give you opportunity to use this platform now to help us educate people on what's the best way to approach the challenges Nigerians are going through, because Nigerians are feeling the pain. That's why people went out despite the fact that they knew their lives might be at risk.
No, people didn't go out. People didn't go out because people have been going out to address these issues. Not in this manner. At the moment, as we are speaking today, people are going out to address these issues. NLC are going into a congress on how to compel the federal government to implement the 30,000 minimum wage.
So you're saying there are other better approach
that are even happening at the moment. Without this, people didn't go out.
So should they release Sowore? Do you think it should be released?
My personal opinion is that he should learn his lessons, and the federal government should be able to dialogue after resolving the issues of protest.
Do you believe that the federal government have some human rights problems? E.g., El-Zakzaky, who has been there since
2015.
You arrest people, they're not taken to court. They're not released, even if the court bails them.
Yes, that is the challenge we have in this part of the world. We look at only the human right of citizens. We don't look at the rights of state actors. Now, El-Zakzaky is somebody who has been in the business of abusing human rights.
That's not what we came for, actually. Yes. I'm happy you said that they should dialogue with. With Sowore after resolving the revolution. And honestly, nobody in Nigeria wants war. Nobody. We don't want it. No matter how terrible you think things are, it is still better to have peace than to have war. We'll go on a quick break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. Report has it that Nigeria is among the top 3 countries in the world with the most orphans. Many of these children have no other options than to live in orphanages. The question is, are orphanage homes in Nigeria able to provide proper care for these kids? And what issues do Nigerian orphanages face? Joining us is the co-founder and matron of Peculiar Saints Orphanage, Agnes Adeniji. Welcome to the show, ma'am.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
So, we see them on the streets. We see them. It's in our faces, especially with the crisis happening everywhere. Parents die, or one parent dies, and then the others are left to fend for themselves. Or you see children who say, my parents were involved in an accident or something happened and nobody to take care of me. And we still definitely don't have enough. We don't have enough orphanages to take care of them. What are the challenges orphanages are facing in Nigeria? Let me start from there, because you've been involved in one for years now.
First, I would want to bring in the co-founder. I want to apologize that she's unable to come to appear in this possible. And I want to talk about what we do and why I am with Peculiar Saints Orphanage, and then I could go in further to explain. In her, I found a passionate and a golden-hearted person, which pushed me to be with her from day one. Yes, we have quite a number, I wouldn't say quite a number, quite a lot of children on the streets. But Peculiar Saints Orphanage has a special center, apart from the normal vulnerable children. We are more into the special needs children who need more attention than those ones. We have those ones, so we have the vulnerable, we have the abused, we have a lot of them with different, abandoned and all. And Peculiar Saints Orphanage runs a home away from home. And I mean a home away from home. If you visit our website, you see the difference between orphanages and our orphanages.
So, but I understand that you would make that effort. I know of the Women Foundation. They also I've been there countless times. It is neat, it is impeccable. But there's a capacity. Yes. So they'll tell you we've reached capacity. We can only take 100, we can only take 50, and they can't do more. What is the gap between this orphans and getting into an orphanage? How can orphans, probably somebody that knows an orphan or someone around, how can they fix those kids that have nobody to take care of them into an orphanage? What's the process?
The process, one, you have to go, before putting in a child into an orphanage, that child has to go through the government. That's the Lagos State Ministry of Youth and Welfare. They have to go through there. We can't just speak like Olamide Tona usually did when she was young. She said, you see that child that is going, look at them. Let me just go and carry them, take them home. I said, you can't do that. Yes, this was as early as her young age when she just finished her university. And those periods she goes around homes. That's the only way she could deliver the message. She could assist them, go into homes to assist, to help, pick, and then say, I don't know how they're going to do it. But ma, how do you get this child? She goes out of her way. She's always gone out of her way. The one she knows she cannot do. So that brought out the passion, and now she has hers. She does everything she can to see that if the child is abandoned. The question is,
yes,
I'm going to your question.
Somebody on the street, would that person need to go and report herself, or can I take people off the street and drive them
to the orphanage?
No. That's why I said it has to go through the government. Yeah. Well, I'm telling you what she went through now. We now have the awareness that this is what we should do. We could see the children, but we cannot take them. Okay. One, it could lead to child trafficking. Okay. We have different homes. We have homes who are legal, who do legal things, and we have the homes that some of them have been locked up.
Yeah. There's a very sad situation in our country now because of the insurgency. We have even more children who have been orphaned by this. And they're just in the IDP camps for most of them. And some of them paired up with families that they just never knew, just to give them a form of, security. So the question is, do orphanages go to places like that and seek children at the IDP camps? Those children are vulnerable, they are afraid. I mean, what do they do?
I'm still going back to the state government. Okay. Because even going there, even if you have to go there, it still has to go through the government. You pick a child, you're interested in a child. And another thing, we have, every orphanage has, we have those that have 0 to 15, 0 to 14, 0 to 16.
Age limits.
The age limits. We have those who run the special needs ward. You still have to go through the government. You have to go through Alausa. You can't just pick that child even from there. Okay. But the government has to do more.
Okay, so maybe we'll address...
That was going to be my question, because do you think that the government is doing enough? Because there are a lot of homeless children. They sleep under bridges. Now, if you have to go through the government before you can place them in orphanages, do you think that the government should
reduce the bureaucracy,
rejig their process? Because it's not helping the children. They're still, and what happens is a lot of them become bandits.
Miscreants.
Some of these children don't even want to go to homes where they can be monitored. You need to know that. The government is really trying. Homes are monitored. Children are monitored. They want to know if you have a child between 0 to 16 years, are you really taking care of them? School, health, and everything, feeding and everything. It's not just collecting and putting it.
Okay. I'm more concerned about the adoption process, because I have a couple of people around me who have tried to adopt, but they keep going, they keep filing, they keep submitting, so it takes a long time. And I'm wondering, because I've been to some of these orphanages to have a form of celebration, and I know that they have needs, which you want to come and celebrate your birthday or something, they give you a list of the things they need for you to bring. And getting children adopted out of the orphanages would ease the problem. So you have space to have more children, but the process is usually very tedious. What are you guys doing about it?
It's both here. It's an international rule. It's an international law. It's an international thing. you have to go through a process. Olamide and Peculiar Saint Orphanage don't keep children. We don't. Except the special needs children.
Oh, okay.
Any child that we find normal and needs to go to a home, she makes sure, listen, we have to get somebody, if it has to be foster parents, if the child can be abandoned, can be adopted, because you have children that can be adopted. You have the ones that have to go in for fostering. Okay? So
does that work in Nigeria?
Yes, it does.
You have people in foster homes in Nigeria.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I see internationally. I didn't know it works here. But because of time, I know that we have definitely a major problem. And she asked about the IDP camps. Is it that every orphanage operates under the rule of the state, so that you are bound by the states you reside, and so you cannot operate or offer help to neighboring states or other communities that you have the capacity to aid?
Sure, of course you can. You still have to go through the government, or we can with the state government.
Are there federal orphanages?
I don't know much about federal. I know more about state orphanages.
Okay. And
I know more about us.
Okay.
All the other ones do operate. Some are legal, some are not legal, some are good, some are not good. Just like you have in Palestine. About a few.
Orphanage. Your orphanage.
Your orphanage. Well, I'm not being boastful, but I must say it's one of the best orphanages we have in Lagos State.
How do you fund?
Capacity.
We have, we run around begging as usual, sponsors, partners. We had quite a lot of challenges, especially on the special needs children that no one wants to adopt.
What are the challenges?
The challenges is we have to pay. We had a boss because of the bad road of the compound of our streets, the environment, welled up. And then we pay the physio, the occupational therapy, so medical bills, because you have to transport them now to those places at least 6 times a week. Wow. Oh, yes. For the normal children, we fight. Most of our children go to schools being sponsored, being assisted.
By individuals.
We want a situation where the government can come in. For instance, in medical, sometimes we take children to the hospital from orphanages, and we have to pay.
Wow.
Oh, yes. Sometimes,
okay, so that can be a policy.
Yes.
Are you doing anything to push for that policy where children from orphanages access free healthcare from hospitals?
Yes, Lamidetana is one of the people that is now trying to see what she can do in writing up, bringing it up. And then too, school. Not every orphanage can get sponsors that would send a child to one of the best schools. Our children go to one of the best schools. Because she pushes. Sometimes if it has to be from her money, she does. The government should please, if we have model colleges, we have model schools. Okay, these are children that have no roots. We don't know their roots. They need to be educated. They have a future.
Do you have enough room?
Yes.
For those who are there right now, do you have
for those we have there, yes, we have. We have enough. We have about 16, 17 special needs children. And then we have we have the boys' room, we have the girls' room, we have the toddlers, we have the babies' room.
So does government do anything for you? Like maybe if you need to build a property or something?
Do they give you like the land or something?
Yes, or some sort of tax waiver. Or just, do they help in any way? Do they give you free land, let's say, or rent-free land?
No, not as per land, no. But they do in other ways. Okay. They do. Like, one that I think they have stopped is granting funding grants to orphanages. I think they stopped it, which would have gone a long way.
People were abusing it or what?
Yes. I don't know. I don't know why they stopped it.
Special needs children, is it a certain disability that you...
Yes. These are cerebral palsy children. These are children that cannot move. These are children that, they're independent. Everything, they're dependent. Everything you have to do, you have to carry them, you have to feed them, you have to bathe them.
So these children are abandoned in the hospitals and then you pick them up?
Yes.
Because I've seen a case where a baby was abandoned. I saw a baby abandoned in the hospital. The parents brought the baby in that is not feeling fine. but because they knew he had cerebral palsy, then they left him alone in the hospital. And I was told at the general hospital in Lassoth that the process was that they would find an orphanage for him, and they haven't found an orphanage for him, a bed space in the orphanage for him. So he's been there. In the hospital? And yes, all of us were just, I dropped diaper. And when I went back, they had put him in an orphanage, but I knew that it was a communal. Let us all take care of him. Most of these children with cerebral palsy get abandoned. Really sad.
How often do you get abandoned babies in your...
Well, what we get, it depends on, it's a...
Location?
It's not a location, it's from the state. You can't just pick a child and go.
Yeah, so they just come and let you know if there's an available child?
No, they just tell you, they say, we have a child, they're sending to...
When you say the state, what is the ministry? Those that are watching now, so there are two questions I want you to answer before we go. One, I want you to answer, what are the core needs that people watching that feel this need burden in their heart, that let me support this orphanage? What are the core needs that you feel would be helpful for your orphanage, number one? Number two, for someone watching that has seen some orphans around and wants to help, who would he or she report to so that that child can be picked up and put in proper care?
First, let me talk about our needs. Our needs are for these children, a boss, if the state can. We're imploring, we're begging, philanthropic, kind-hearted people, a lot of things, paying off, instead of, rather than carrying those children out every day and having to pay for private vehicle to take them, because they're not children also, they're not children you can't just carry and
dump in the cars.
We don't squash them. So that is one we're begging. I am begging on behalf of Lamditona and on behalf of Peculiar Saints Orphanage for these children. We need a boss. We need to...
Then the second one, because we need to go.
We're opening very brief. We intend opening a therapy center. We need support of the government, of people, where they will be limited now. The abandonment of children in hospitals will reduce as long as parents know that yes, your child will have a free.
So the parents can take care of the child and take them for that therapy. That's what your team is working on now. So the second question about how people can get their children.
They still have to go through the government. That's Lagos State Youth and Welfare Alausa.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you so much. It was great having you. Remember, she said they need a school bus to take these kids, and if you have orphans, go to Lagos State Welfare.
But we can be informed also.
That's all we
can
take
tell them
on the show for now. Stay with us. We have another segment coming up. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. We all know that emergency incidents and related challenges are one of the major causes of death in Nigeria. People just die that are avoidable. On the show today, we will be engaging our guest, who will in turn enlighten us on how emergency situations can be improved and what really are the roles and responsibility of the emergency response team. Joining us is the project officer, Health Emergency Initiative, Olayinka Lai Adeite, and the intervention director, Health Emergency Initiative, Kanayo Okonkwo. Welcome to the show. So today we're doing a lot of NGOs.
I just wanted to, read a tweet that somebody had tweeted for the lady that left, and because I think she might still be here and I wanted her to hear. Please, can you tell your guest, I doff my cap to the works your guest does for orphanages. That's from Andrew Streatham. So,
So,
I just thought to read it.
Fantastic. Sorry, the show is packed. We've not been able to take a lot of tweets. We really apologize, but you can still call in, join the conversation by calling us on 070-8066-8014 and keep tweeting to us. We'll read your tweets. Health challenges, emergency situations, heart attack. There was a shocking case of a woman dancing vibrantly in Benin, and, they said she slummed. By the time she got to the hospital, they had to rush her to another hospital. And, the picture of the response the video showed the response, the first responders when she slummed. It was obvious that people really didn't know what to do. They were praying, they were blowing air. So we're wondering, and somebody was recording, those kind of things. What's the best way to deal with health emergencies when they happen? And what are the major ones that cause deaths in Nigeria?
Well, let me start with saying that we have changed from being more empathic to taking pictures and posting on the social media. Now, HEI has taken initiative to address this particular issue. We have started a scheme we called First Responder Scheme. That scheme is going to teach Nigerians on skills or what to do when there's an emergency, what you should do, what you should not do to help the situation. But that's not the only work that HEI does. HEI takes care of indigent patients. And as at now, HEI has taken about 336 cases since inception. And we have also intervened in road accident cases up to 76 numbers that we started last year with Federal Road Safety Commission. What we did in that scheme is we entered into MOU with the federal government and Lagos State hospitals. And anybody, just anybody who had an accident, and they take you to any of these hospitals, they will treat you without asking for any money at the first instance to stabilize your life before you contact your people and other treatments will follow.
Just to harp on what you just said, because we see most of these American movies where an emergency happens and then they call a number, they pick them up. Once they get to the hospital, they are taking them to the ER, they are taking them to the theaters. And it's afterwards that when the patient is stabilized that you now start thinking about doing the paperwork. But I have taken people to Nigerian hospitals and they insist that you have to drop something before they attend to you. So are you guys really enforcing that? And is it just, you mentioned the federal government and state hospitals. Is it just that, or are you looking into the private hospitals as well?
At the moment, we are working with the federal government and health Lagos State or state institutions, but we are going beyond that.
Okay.
At the moment, our resources can only take care of these categories for now. But I can tell you that we have signed MOU that.
So is it mention they will say I'm from HE?
No, they don't. You don't need to tell them you're from anywhere. The moment you text any road accident victim to those areas, those hospitals will have an MOU. They will treat you. And they will call us that we had a case. And that's it. They will take you in, and then they will treat you. They will simply call.
Okay.
No, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be in Los Angeles, please.
Okay.
If you are taken in by the police, or the Federal Road Safety Commission, or Los Angeles, or any of the agencies.
How about a private individual?
If an individual does come, and someone actually certified that it's an accident, they will treat you. We have an MOU.
Are you government sponsored?
No, we're not government sponsored.
Who is sponsoring you?
Individuals like Nigerians who felt concerned came together with our director, Mr. Pascal Achunine, in 2015 and formed HEI, brought their little savings and from their salaries and earnings and put it together and started this project.
What about gunshots?
Well, we are not dealing with the gunshot for now.
All right, so let me ask Yinka a question, because I know you were trying to put in, so this initiative is for accident victims. Abi, the one for free emergency healthcare is for accident victims to prevent death. That's the goal.
No, we actually have two interventions like that.
Okay.
There's one called the medical relief.
Okay.
That one is for indigent patients in government hospitals who can't afford to pay their hospital bills.
Okay.
Now, we work hand in hand with social workers. They are the ones that reach out to us to say, oh, we have 1 or 2 indigent patients. You'll be surprised that people can't afford to pay as low as 1,500.
We know. We're not surprised.
So they reach out to us and give us the details of the patient. We go in there and verify.
So we had the social workers come on the show a few months back, and we were like, we didn't know we had social workers in Nigeria. So if somebody is in the hospital now and maybe they had delivery, because I've seen that happen, they just gave birth and they can't be released because they can't pay the hospital bills for the delivery process, who do they reach out to and how do they get in touch with you?
They have to always come through the social worker. And another thing, they have to be indigent. If they are not indigent, I mean, if you can afford to pay your hospital bill.
So an indigent would be who now, exactly, in your own case? So is this someone that doesn't have a home? Is this someone that doesn't have a job? How far do you need to be poor to be an indigent? Do you understand? I need to just know. Because some people will tell you, well, I have a house, but I don't have a job. And they would think that they're indigent. I mean, so according to you, who would you say?
I want to give you an example. Lady that just left here, she talked about an orphanages. These are indigents. They don't have capacity to support themselves. Okay. As long as you don't have capacity to support your health in need, you're an indigent patient. Okay. And HAI doesn't just work on indigent. We have about 3 or 4 different projects we are working on right now. One I mentioned is road accident victim, that anybody that has an accident, and you're taking to...
You don't have capacity.
For that road accident, it doesn't have to be whether you're indigent or not. Because really, you're indigent at that point. Because you can't help yourself. Yes. You don't even, you may be, most of them, they're unconscious. So you are actually indigent at that point. So we actually make sure that you are kept alive. And then you can reach out to your people when you
come to.
Exactly. So then those indigents who can't pay for their hospital bills at the entry point or exit point, HI does so. And then those who also can't afford to buy certain dressings or drugs, HI also pays for them. Okay. And then we have the one we call Project Joseph. We go to the prisons. Those who can't, who are there, many of them are actually innocent human beings. So you can't really say they are condemned.
Innocent.
Innocent. Yes. Okay. They are not guilty until you pronounce them. Yeah. That's what the law states. So you have to be sure that everybody is kept alive.
They don't forget them there.
Exactly.
The medical care in prison, isn't it usually covered by the Nigerian prison?
The government is doing a whole lot, but you know, we have a whole lot also to deal with in the society. So we try to see we have this intervention to help the system. We also have been able to this first responder scheme that I mentioned to you is going to start up this month, and we're going to train Nigerians, everybody, on how to respond to emergencies. And there's a case in hand. A woman locked her children in the house just last month and went to go and buy foodstuffs. She kept a candle light.
Oh, sugar.
And then, before you know it, the candle fell and the whole house was engulfed with fire.
Hey.
3 of the children died on the spot.
My goodness.
The oldest of them, about 4 years plus, entered the fridge and locked himself inside the fridge before neighbors could break the door and bring him out. He's alive at the moment. And HI has been doing everything to make sure that that child survives. Right now, he's being treated. There's been a massive support. People have been giving us support, and we have been following the case and to show that that child survives. That's part of things we need to teach people to understand. Parents are told, don't lock anybody inside the house. Don't lock your children. The 3 children died at spot. She left 4 children at the same time.
Can you imagine?
And we had only one that is surviving. Right now, we are battling to save the life of that particular child. So these are some of the cases that HI have been dealing with. And it's widespread.
Okay, so how do you get your funding? What do you want?
She already answered that.
Yes, I said,
do you want more people to come out?
Of course.
Tell us how we can reach out to you.
We want more Nigerians to support HEI project because it's for all of us. You may be an accident victim any day. You are not, it's not something you prepare for. So you should and it could be your own brother. So please, yes, it's not my portion. It's not my portion, but we have accidents every day occurring.
So how do you deal with gunshot wounds? Because I know that there are a lot of armed robbers everywhere, so I'm surprised that gunshot that should be number one.
Accidental fire.
We're taking our
accidental fire. SARS are always accidental.
Accidental fire, I agree. We are taking our project step by step. Like I said, we started with indigent patients. We went into road accident victims. We started with Project Joseph. We are going to first responders. We also have the scheme on substance abuse. It's step by step.
Okay, so because we're totally out of time, the show is over literally already. Just thank you so much for coming. Actually, we can't even say anything. Thank you so much for coming. And I know that your contacts and details will be out there. They could just Google your Health Emergency Initiative. Don't forget to follow up with the Peculiar Saints Orphanages too. These are NGOs. We need to help ourselves. We can't keep blaming the government. Let's do what we can to lift each other out of the quagmire we found ourselves.
We need to specify they didn't pay us to come. We're all here because we
love you.
I understand.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. This part of it, I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Really appreciate that.
Tomorrow is a live audience show. Please join us. Come very early. We can only take 30 people. Dress nicely, look pretty. That's all we can take today. See you all tomorrow. Bye.